I
Talk
see.
about God's intervention. He was supposed to eat breakfast
Oh yeah.
in the Twin Towers down in the restaurant below the Twin Towers that morning.
I was going to take pictures of the Twin Towers just before, like about 7 o'clock in the morning. I walked down. I was going to take pictures from the Twin Towers over to my building. And I said, yeah, I'll do it when I come back. Went down to the restaurant next to the Twin Towers. And I got my food. And I was coming back up. And I saw there are fruits that you don't see in America. And I said, oh man, I'll go up and come down, put my food down and come back. And when I got upstairs, I put the food down, I hear boom, that explosion. And I look up to the east side of Manhattan, and see nothing. And I look up to the Twin Towers, I saw smoke. And I said, man, something must be a fire or something. And then the smoke got worse, and I started taking pictures. When I took the last picture of the Twin Towers, the building that got hit second was just exploding, and it exploded into the frame of the pictures. And I said, well, I guess I gotta go.
And now, a few minutes with two of my friends who will soon be yours, the Techie and the Cowboy.
All right, here we go with another episode of the Techie and the Cowboy. My name is Alford Hunte. They call me the Techie.
And I'm T.W. Lawrence. They call me the Cowboy.
And we have a special guest that looks a little bit like me. I look like him. I guess he came first. So I look like him. And this will be my dad. Want to introduce yourself?
My name is Alford Hunte. I'm a little older than this guy next to me here.
He would say looks better. That would be his opinion.
No, I don't feel like I look.
I don't know. I might have to vote with your dad on that one.
Oh, look at there. That's it. So it's awesome to be able to have him as a guest on the show, because we talked about this for a while, but we had to make a trip out here to Arlington, Texas, way an hour away, which is not really that far, but it seems like that far. In Texas, anything that we drive that's less than 3 hours is not far, right? But we wanted to just kind of talk about the whole point of the show, Dad, is men talking about how faith has impacted them in their journey, like in work and in life, and how there are certain points in life you had to really lean on your faith. And so going back to being a telephone man, right?
Yeah.
Back in New York. Talk a little bit about, your faith journey and how it is. Well, first of all, how did you come across your faith? Did you grow up in the church? Yeah.
Yes, I was a longtime Moravian, which is kind of sister to the Methodists, and my mother was Moravian. My grandmother, everybody prior to me coming to New York was Moravian. When we got to New York, we decided to start our own Moravian church, but there wasn't no Moravian church in New York, so we started our own Moravian church in New York, and then as time goes on, we decided. I never did like New York, really.
Now you came from, tell them, because they don't know, you came from where to New York?
I was born in Antigua, West Indies.
Yeah, British Virgin Islands.
British Virgin Islands, and we left there. I was about 13, 14 when my mother just said, "Hey, she never told us anything." All of a sudden one morning we woke up. We're going to the airport. I said, "Airport for what?" She said, "We're going to the airport." And my uncle took us to the airport, and first time I ever saw Pan American jet,
Mm.
and we were loaded on to the airline, and next thing we're in Brooklyn, New York.
Wow.
Oh, and
A little bit of a change of
it
environment,
was a change. It was hot. It was 90 something degrees, and it was sticky, and everybody was. I said, I want to go back home.
Now, Antigua is how many square miles?
108 square miles.
108 square mile island
Jeez.
to Brooklyn, New York.
Wow. That
So
was
just
a
a
big
little
change.
bit of a change.
And during that time in New York, the watch riots were going on.
Oh, the riots?
In Watts, and
Yeah.
you had to be careful. You had to go outside. You had to look outside, and I didn't like it. So they took me to high school, and when we got there, they said, "What grade are you in?" I said, "Fourth form." So we don't have that here. So they gave me a test, and they said, "You passed the 12th grade level." I said, They said, "You know anything about American history?" I said, "Yes, I know about the they plant cotton and corn." And they said, "Well, we don't know what to do with you, so we're gonna put you in the 11th grade, and we're gonna give you American history, because you know about England, you know about Europe, you know." So they put me in 11th grade. So I went to 11th, 12th, graduated.
So, and how long have you been in school whenever you were over in Antigua?
I was in school from
Because you were what age at this time?
that in Antigua I was 12,
At
13.
12, 13. And so you come over at 13 years old, and then they put you in the 11th grade.
11th
You got a
grade.
question, Joey?
Yes. As a stereotype, I don't see the Caribbean islands as being particularly Christian. So how did your family get into Christianity, considering all the other religion and religions that were available?
Well, in Antigua there's about say 20 different churches.
Oh, wow.
They have Pentecost, Shiloh, they have Methodist, they have Moravian, they have Anglican, they have Christian Mission. They have a lot of different churches. So,
Okay.
so religion in Antigua, they're very church, and they're Catholic. Catholic churches.
Catholic, yeah.
Catholic church. The three biggest churches are the Anglican, the Catholic, and Moravian.
Moravian. And you got to remember that tourism is one of Antigua's primary ways that they make money. So you constantly have tourists that are coming through as well. So probably another reason why there's so many different religions, so many different injection into such a small island.
And Antigua is only 108 square miles, but they're very developed as far as culture is concerned, because a lot of tourists come there. But for instance, in Jamaica, we are very pro business wise. Our dollar in Antigua is worth $2.70 American.
Oh, wow. This is actually stronger.
In Jamaica, it got about $1,000 for Jamaican dollar.
Yeah, for a Jamaican dollar. I remember when the Jamaican dollar crashed, as a matter of fact, and it went down. So, so a big difference there.
You have a lot of people leaving Jamaica, coming to Antigua. As a matter of fact, there was more. I was asking. I was in Antigua, and I was going to ask somebody where the street was. The person said, "I'm not from here." And I went to about 3 different people before I met an Antigua.
From Antigua.
From Antigua.
That's actually
So-
from Antigua, right?
So there was a lot of Bajans, Barbados, a lot of Grenadans, a lot of Jamaicans, and it's it's well organized as far as people are concerned.
Now, whenever I say my family's from the islands, so my dad's from the islands, people automatically assume Jamaica because that's the most,
That's the biggest
publicized.
one,
Yeah.
the biggest.
But then I explained to them Big Island versus Small Island, right? Because
Mhm.
Jamaica, do you know how many square miles Jamaica is?
Jamaica is about 1,000, almost 2,000 square
Yeah,
miles.
so you're looking at 20 times the size just in comparison of a small island versus big island. So it would be like a big city versus small city, right?
Right.
You don't want to tell Antigua that they're Jamaican, or you don't want to miscall Jamaica. It's not gonna-
So basically, your dad is a country boy from the islands.
Basically, that's it. It'd be country. That's why I tell Whitney it's like country boy, country girl versus city girl. You know what I mean? So okay, so moving on. So now you moved to New York.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you're in New York, and you're 13, 14 years old. And when you graduated, you were what, 14, 15?
Yeah, 16.
16. So 16 years old, you graduate from high school. What's the next phase? Where do you go from there?
I worked at Wall Street, down Wall Street as a courier. Used to take stocks and bonds and stuff and take them to different places, CBS and ABC and different. And so I used to have to dress in a suit and take these bonds to different places. But you weren't making any money. You were making like $8 and $9 a week, but you had to dress. So I met a guy and he said, I said, "What you doing?" He said, "I'm a bookbinder." I said, "Do they take people like me?" I said, "Yeah, hey, you work, and so I said, "How much you make?" He said, $130 something a week, and $130 something versus $87 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I said,
Yeah.
"Bye-bye," and I became a bookbinder, and the computer took that away.
Mm.
And a friend of mine said, these computer, the time they had the big one computer
Take up the whole room.
take up the whole room, and they say, you are not looking ahead, but eventually computers going to take over, and they won't need no bookbinder. And sure, so I was there for about 5 years, and then I quit bookbinder, and she said, "Why don't you try for the phone company?" And I went to the phone company, and I left bookbinding for say $140 a week, and I went to the phone company, and they were paying $110 a week, and they, sorry to say, but at that time the phone company was, if you weren't Italian or Irish, you don't stand a chance. So they said, well, they gave me a test, and they said, "Oh, you pass up to switchman," and then on the day they give you the training, a switchman, how to talk to people, how to do this, and after about 8 weeks, they came to us, and it was all, let me see, 3 blacks and the rest are Puerto Ricans. And they say, we have some good news and we have some bad news. The good news is you have a job. The bad news is we don't have no opening as a switchman. telephone.
And this is after you're doing the training.
After we trained everything. And they say, okay, if you don't want the job, they had all the papers. You sign here and leave. And I said, man, at the time I couldn't leave because I was the oldest of 8 kids. My mother had 8 of us. And I said, I can't leave. So I stayed. And the job they gave me was a janitor job.
Mm.
And I said,
same pay, or they cut your pay?
The same pay.
Same pay.
And so then I said, the supervisor, I used to work nights. My job was to clean the 8th floor all the way down to the basement with a mop, and then I had to put stuff on the floor to prevent people from slipping.
Mm.
And after about 2 weeks, I said, look, listen, guy said, how do you like your job? I said, I'm being wasted. He said, wasted? What do you mean? I said, I'm being wasted. I said, I'm qualified for a better job than this, and this is what you have me doing. He said, oh, you have a chip on your shoulder, huh? Okay, we'll fix that. And the next, about 4 weeks, they shipped me to a place where they had my job was to clean the platform of this big trucking place, hold about 50 trucks. And I said, okay. I got the first little car. It was a Valiant, and Valiant, do you remember? And then I from the job was the boss said, you have to clean this floor, this 50 bays of trucks, and I said, that's all? He said, that's it. He said, you just take your time. And so I said, shoot, this is easy compared with cleaning 8
floors.
8 flights. So I cleaned the platform clean, all the gum, and the next day he came in and said, what happened to this place? He said, I've never seen this place like this. I said, yes, and I'm being wasted.
Just gonna tell somebody you told this that.
Said, why are you being wasted? What do you mean by being wasted? He said, I'm passed to the switchman, and this is what they have me doing. He said, okay, well, let me tell you something. You will just keep your butt swinging, and nobody will stick it. I'm going to take care of you. And about 2 months, a month, they put me as a switchman. The telephone, when the telephone came from Western Electric, they had to come to a bay, and all you have to do is check off the bays and make sure what ship going, what
almost like a quality assurance type of person. Yeah.
I say, oh man, this is good. So I noticed that when the stuff comes from Western Electric, there be always a fuss, with the 50 different truckers. One day is first, and then, and I said, well, to myself, I said, that comes from organization. Nothing was organized. So I tell the supervisor, can I go into Western Electric and talk to the guy? And I say yeah. So I organized where each truck, each bay, like 1 comes out first, 2 comes out second, and we used to work from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning, and up to 1 o'clock in the morning they'd be fighting. By 12 o'clock, the whole bay was clear. Everything. The guy said, "You did this?" I said, "Yeah, that's rough." That's what I do, organize. He said, okay, would you like another job? I said, yeah, I'd like to be I said, I'm wasted. I'm being wasted. This is not a job. He said, okay, would you like to be a chauffeur helper? Those days, back in the day, they had telephone booths. And my job was to help the guy put the boots on the truck. I said, yeah, I'll take it. So I was there and I helped the guy. And this guy said, man, this guy works. And so the guy, the guy that told me that I told I was being wasted, I said, he said, there'll be a job coming up as a telephone repairman. Do you want it? And he said, do you want it? I said, yeah.
He's like, do you want it?
I said, yeah. And I took the job as a telephone man, repairman, but the week that I'm supposed to start, the Monday I'm supposed to start, the telephone company went on strike.
Oh, jeez.
And I went there. So they said, if you have to report back to where you came from. I said, well, I'm not going to break no picket line, so I guess I don't have a job. And then the guy hung up. He called me. He said, if you take the job, if you're gone to back to your job, I would beat you up.
Yeah, because he would have broke the picket line. Huh?
So he said, come on. And I started as a telephone repairman. But the telephone repairman job that they gave me was to go and pick up telephones that people don't want. You know, like you don't want your phone, you leave it, and I'll have to go and pick it up.
Yeah, this is back when they were actually like renting phones. Because phones were so expensive, they would actually rent them. So he's actually like the repossession guy and the pick it up after you don't want a guy, right?
That sounds good. But when you go to these places, this is in Brooklyn, they're so mad that you come to pick the phone, they throw the phone out
the window,
6th floor window.
You want your phone back?
You want your phone? Here's your phone. And so it was a good job, but it was dangerous in a way. Okay.
I remember you told me about having to put the phones on the back of the trucks to let all the roaches come out of it.
Yeah, we learned after a while you tie the phone to the bumper and take off, down the street, so all the roaches jump out.
Brooklyn.
So then I did that, and then
how'd you get from there to the telephone poles? Because you were up on the poles, right? For a little bit?
No, yes, they put me. They gave me a job in the projects, and you had to. It's hard to put phone in a wall, brick wall. But I learned a way of putting the phones on the wall, and they put me with this old guy, and I managed to put. And the guy called my supervisor and said, "Man, this guy's good. We did almost 50 phones, and this guy's good." So the supervisor said, "I want him over to where I work." So I go up to the supervisor. I say, "Okay, I'm here." They say, "You're ace. You're good." When I went, they said, "Okay, this is they put me on a pole. They put." I said, "I don't know how to climb no pole." They say, "This is your job," and it was about 3 degrees.
I went 3 degrees outside.
Outside. And I went up the pole and I stayed up there from 8 o'clock to about 11 o'clock.
In 3 degrees.
I don't know nothing. I came down, my feet were hard, and then I came back to the garage, and the guy said, I never forget this guy. His name was Dave Brooke. He said, you stayed 4 hours out there and you didn't do anything. Get the hell out of my office. And this guy named Charlie Napolitano said, come on, I'll take you. And he took me and taught me how to fix phone, how to trace cables and everything. And I found out that the guys that were doing getting all the praise were salespeople with cell phones. A guy would go out there and do 2 jobs, and he come back and sell like 6 phones. That time phones were a big deal. Drumline phones, Princess phone, color phones, and I learned to. When I go to a house, I look at the curtains. If they have braised curtains, I say, hey, this will look good with your curtains, this beige phone. And I put the phone there while I'm fixing whatever. And they say, man, yeah, this does look good. And that's how I started selling phones. I started going, either have pink bed. I'll go and say, I won't tell them nothing about the phone. I just put the phone by the pink bed, and I fix the phone, and I say, man, that phone sure look nice near the bed. He said, pink, yeah. And they buy a drumline. After a while, the guy that Charlie Napolitano, he said, man, we're number 1 in sales this month, but I don't want to be number 1. I want to stay near the top. See, when you're number 1, you have to stay number 1. Everybody that wants you to, stay big. But when you're in the middle or near the top,
just do just enough.
Just enough. Everybody knows this guy can sell. So, anyhow, then they came and they said, the phone company is changing, and we're going to they're going to need the AT&T at the time is going to change, and it's going to be a lot of bells, little bells all over.
Big bell split, right?
Big bells.
Yeah.
They say you have a choice. You can go to Florida, Alabama, California, or Texas. And it just so happened that my brother-in-law had moved to Texas, and I said, California, what part in California? He said, Watts. I said, no. And I said, I don't want to. I said, let me go. Myself and my wife, we drove to Texas.
And I was how old at this time?
You were like
2?
1.
1?
1.
Mm-hmm.
He was 1 year. And we drove to Texas, and I like it. It was hot. But and so then we drove to Texas, and I told my wife, when we get back, we're moving to Texas. And she said, okay. And sure enough, by December, her mind was made. We bought a house.
Yeah.
We bought a house.
So back up before the move to Texas, because now we brought my mom in the picture. How did y'all meet? Because her best friend was your sister, right?
Yeah. My mom, my sister Annette was good friends with my wife, because they went to the same school, and that's how. And I told Annette, I said, I'm going to marry that girl. And they laughed, and they thought it was a joke. And so when they laughed about it, and they say, Well, I got mad and I said, okay, I'll just keep an eye on her. That's my wife. And she, when she's finished school, I asked her to marry me. And
and y'all were how old at that age? That was what?
I was about 22, 23. And uh, I I I asked her when she finished high school. I asked her to be my my wife, and she she said she laughed. She said she thought it was funny. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was funny. And then we moved to we moved to Queens, and we're having a party. We always gave a lot of parties here. We have so when myself and Harold and a lot of my friends, I told them all the party we're coming in the basement and but actually an engagement party. And when we got there late because I went to pick her up, and when we got down, we started coming down the stairs. The boss said, "Hey, we're having a party," and my friend Emma said, "And I have a ring here. I don't know whose finger is gonna fit on." He went around checking all the fingers. And we got to her. He said, "Oh, I guess it's them." I said, "Yep, that's the engagement ring." And I told, we got engaged at the party, and
In the basement.
in the basement. And my mother didn't. She wanted me to marry a West Indian. She didn't want me to marry American.
American.
So I went upstairs to her bedroom, my mother, my father, and I said, "Look, it's either you're going to gain a daughter or lose a son." I said, "You got till the end of this night to make up your mind."
You can tell he's an ultimatum guy, right? You heard all these ultimatums that are having.
Gain a son or lose a daughter.
And she obviously chose.
And they become good friends. My mother and my wife became good friends, and
So love it. So now you moved to Texas, and then now Southwestern Bell, right?
Yeah.
At the time,
Where-
right? Southwest Pacific
where-
Bell.
Where in Texas did you move to?
I moved to Arlington.
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 But on the other side of Arlington, we're in South Arlington now. This is
Um,
more North Arlington.
But I worked in Dallas. And
So that's what, a 45-minute drive?
yeah, 25-minute drive.
25-minute drive to downtown. Right?
Yeah.
And so for years and years, and that's not an easy drive because you're talking about traffic going downtown. I was just telling this to somebody the other day because they were like, man, they were complaining about having to go 10 minutes. And I was telling them about your drive in traffic both ways, 25 minutes each way to downtown Dallas, right now.
Yeah, so we drove all the way to I used to drive to downtown Dallas, and I went. The first thing I noticed when I went in there, the room, there's only 3 black guys in the room, and they said, I sat down. Nobody said nothing. So after about 5 days, I said, "Who's the job steward here?" I said, "That guy over there sitting down playing cards." I said, "I've been here 5 days, and you never asked me to introduce me to the people, and you never said nothing. What kind of job steward are you? He said, "What? You want to be a job steward?" I said, "Yeah." And in about 2 weeks, I was a job steward.
You got the job, you can have it.
And I say, give me a book. And I read the book, the job steward book. And the first thing I did, I went outside in the garage, and I said to the supervisor, that truck is leaking, that truck is leaking, this truck don't have no belts. I went and did all kinds. I said, this is Friday, by Monday afternoon, this place got to be clean. And
you're like, who is this guy?
What made it worse, I came down from New York, and I had a BMW 528i, BMW, brand new. And I paid for it cash because hustling, hustling.
That's where I got it from.
I used to DJ. I used to have my truck with everything. If you want to, when the mother said it was going to rain, I used to buy a whole lot of umbrellas sale, and when it's going to rain, I put them in my truck and say, hey, it's gonna rain. You want an umbrella? $5.
The same truck, by the way, that same red truck, GW, that I
Oh,
drive.
really?
Right?
Okay, yeah.
So anyhow, we
So that was your introduction to the union, right?
yeah, and then I was a job steward for like a month, 2 months, and the chief steward who takes care of about maybe 15 garage. I say, you're the chief steward? He said, yeah, you want the job? I said, yeah. So I said, he made me chief steward, and I said, my job is to go around all these different places and talk to people. And I walk into a garage and say, who are you? I said, I'm the chief steward. I said, my chief steward never came out here. I said, well, this
will
is
change now.
I went, I said, who's the job steward? They said, we don't have a job steward. I said, okay, who want to be a job steward? You. And I made job steward in all the different garages. And they said, man. I said, and then different things came up about the company and stuff. And I just, was the job steward and tell them, and when the picket lines and when we went on strike, they noticed that I was in the picket line and this, and when they go to Austin to like now the what's going on in Austin now, they meet all the senators and
oh yeah, the big
Legislation.
legislature. I would go to the legislature, drive my own car, drive the BMW, go down there, and come back and tell the people what's happening in Austin. And they say, well, this guy is an officer, but he's quitting. Would you want to be an officer? I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I'll be an officer, yeah. And they say, well, you have to run for it,
This is the vice president position, or this
vice
is
president position. They said, this was in 1990 something, 92. They said, well, you have to run for it, but they never had a black
vice president.
They just had about 3 black chief stewards. I said, well, there's always a first. So I went and I said, well, this white guy came to me and said, hey, you make a good chief steward because you make a good officer because you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do this, you make a good officer. He said, I'll back you up behind the scene. I can't come out and say I'm backing Al Hunt because. So I said, okay. He said, I'll get people to back you up. I said, okay. So I came home and told my wife, and that time Spike Lee came out with the movie "Do the Right Thing." I said, oh, that'd be my slogan: "Do the right thing, vote for Al Hunt." And they said, "Do the right thing." I made up some signs, and
Now, this was my first introduction to campaigning, right? So we did all of the stuff that you have to do for a regular election. Our matter of fact, the dining room we're in now turned into election headquarters. So from putting the mailers together and putting the stamps and licking the stamp envelopes to putting the signs together and putting yards and going to put signs in yards,
well,
we had to do all
before
of
that
that.
happened, the guy that the president of the union, say, we have a guy we want to be a officer. You can't just come in and say you're going to be an officer. I said, why do you think you can be an officer? So I took out one of the signs. I said, here, and he said, do the right thing, support Al Hunt. Boy, he turned purple. He said, you're just wasting your time, man. and they said, you can do all you want. You can't be an officer in this unit, in this local. And I said, okay. And I started giving
Grassroots.
grassroots. I said, I go to people and say, you like the way the union is? If you want change, I'm the man. Change. All I want you to do is vote for three people, three of your friends, and that's all. I don't need your money. I don't need your this. Just tell people, three people, to vote for me. And I go around and I shook everybody's hand, meet all the people. Listen, man. And I used to dress kill. I mean, suits, dress nice. And I shook their hand. I said, man. And I said, a lot of black people came to me and said, they're not gonna let you win. We never had no black president officer. They're not gonna let you win. I said, well, worry about them. You just vote. You get three of your friends, and vote for me, and that's it. And so I had people. I used to come home. I sold part of my bedroom sets and dining room sets, and had my kids making signs and doing all kinds of stuff. Had a garage sale where we had all. I had people, union members, bring stuff to the garage sale to sell.
So we could fund the campaign.
So we could fund the, and
Wow.
I remember all that stuff. Wow.
and so we
How close was the race? Because I don't remember that part. How close was the race whenever you actually won?
when the race was a tight race. They used to tear the signs off the buildings and stuff. We had about 100 and a little over 100 locations, all out in place. They had there was all white. They said, I went out there in a BMW. They say, who are you? I said, I'm the new officer. They said, we never had no officer come out here. I said, you have one now. And I said, I took them, every place I went, I took them a box of donuts to give to, say, welcome to CWA. They said, man, this is different. And so then I used to go and meet all the people and tell all the people. And one of the officers said when I became an officer, he said, "I'm gonna make sure that you're an officer one term, and that's it."
And how long did you hold the position?
I hold the position 9 years.
9 years.
9 years.
And each year is how many terms? One term?
3 terms.
Three
2
terms.
years. 3 years per term.
Wow. So getting reelected. So not only going from being the first black vice president of that local, but then holding the office, he has to be reelected each time. And each time I remember it being a battle.
Yeah.
And even some people coming up against him that were good friends with him, come and try and stab him in his
They
back.
even tried to get a black guy to run against me, and he was close to me. He was a good friend, and then he said, "Al, I have something to tell you. I'm gonna run against you." And like all the blood just rushed out from me. I couldn't believe, and I was gonna give it up and say, "Yeah, forget it." And everybody said, "Don't give it up." The other people, he's a yes man, and they want him in there, but because they can't tell you yes, and you say yes. And that guy ran against me, and
Lost.
He lost.
But just to show you what kind of guy that he is. So this guy, good friends with him, runs against him, whatever else. And then he forgives him later on, and he becomes one of my mentors in photography and in business and whatever else. I think it was his way of trying to repair that relationship, but he takes me under his wing and he teaches me a lot about the business aspect of things. One of the things my dad has always been good at, and we talked about this before in other episodes, is whenever he didn't have the skill set for something, he put me in front of, tied me to, around people who had that skill set.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was interested in computers, because he wasn't a computer guy, but my best friend's dad was, he said, "Hey, why don't you go out with him to the first Saturday sale and learn how it is that he's buying and selling and whatever else computers," and connected me with that. You know what I mean? So Earl Gordon, he connected me when I started getting into photography, how it is to be able to do photography, but he was also a graphics guy. And I didn't know a lot about how to do graphics on computers. And so Earl Gordon taught me how to do that graphics guy. So my whole entire life, there's been a pattern of him making sure that if he didn't know, like a lot of the stuff that you notice, TW, just in knowing me, a lot of the patterns of what it is that he did coming up is some of the stuff that I still do too, because I learned from seeing him be able to connect with people, to be able to build relationships with people, being able to grassroots go out there and win people's hearts over. That's all embedded in the core of what it is that I do, because I watched my whole life him do those different things, which is amazing. And even hearing some of these stories, I didn't hear the back end of the stories. I had lived them, but I didn't hear the back end of these stories. It makes sense now where it is I got some of the things that I was able to do. Okay, so now faith. Now tying faith to that, how is your faith throughout this whole entire journey that we've talked about? How did your faith play a part in that?
Like going to church. We were always religious. I have to tell you this one. We used to go to a Baptist church. One thing we learn about the Baptists, they don't allow women to be pastors, or they keep the women as Sunday school teachers or something like that. So my wife was a Sunday school teacher in the Baptist church, and my mother was a Methodist. She became a Methodist, and she came up here, and she took me to this Methodist church, and I liked the church, and I just, without telling her, my wife, what I was doing, I took I took her and my son and took them to the church one Sunday, and I said, "We're going to join this church."
I remember that because here I am. How old was I? Mom, how old was I at that time? Like 10 10 or so. Because I remember I was like, we were going to this Baptist church, big Baptist church, and then all of a sudden he's like, we're joining this church and we're switching. I was like, this is a big change for me, right? I'm at the age where you do confirmation and all this stuff in the Methodist church, and I'm learning this stuff as I go. And it was like a complete and total switch. But it being a smaller church, I think it was better because then I got to know all the youth group members. I mean, we were in church sun up to sundown. My mom had a lot of positions in the church, so we were there the whole entire time. And that being connected at that level, I think built my faith. And not to say that it wouldn't have happened at the bigger church, but I just don't think it would have happened at that level because we had to do everything. Like we were in the regular choir and the youth choir because we needed people. Like, you know, it was like we had to do all of the stuff we had to volunteer and do inside of the church. So we were very involved in the church by default, and I think that's why I still like smaller churches over the bigger churches because I think that you build that connection a little bit more.
I agree. Yes.
So we joined the church. We joined the Methodist church, and we're still members.
Still members of Grace.
To this day.
What's the new name of it? Grace in the Metroplex. Grace Methodist in the Metroplex. I got it right. Yeah. It used to be Grace United Methodist back in the day. My mom's over there. That's why I'm asking her. I'm using her as a reference point.
This is not Custer Road.
No, this is not Custer Road. Custer Road was the one that we went to once it is that we moved to the north side after I met Wendy. This is Grace United Methodist. This is the one that I grew up in. It was Grace United Methodist, and then they changed to be Grace Methodist in the Metroplex, right? Because they actually changed their different locations so they couldn't be in Arlington as well. All right. This has been great being able to go through the journey and you know, and living it, but hearing how it is that, you know, some of the principles of serving people, doing more than what it is that you're hired to do is a pattern that you also instilled in me. I remember as a kid, we were at a Firestone, right? And we were getting the tires changed. We're inside the lobby area. And there's a broom in the corner, and this place was filthy, right? It was like one of those old school tire shops where everything is dusty and filthy. And my dad, he picks up the broom and he starts sweeping up and cleaning the lobby. And I'm like, what are you doing? Right? I'm a teenager. Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you cleaning the lobby? He's like, well, there's a broom here and it's nasty. So, you know, and we're waiting. We got an hour and a half. The guy told us an hour and a half in order to get, you know, for us to wait, even though we had an appointment. Instead of him being mad, he cleans up the whole thing. And the guy comes in here, he's like, who cleaned the lobby? Same as the Bay. It sounded right me. He said, I've never seen the lobby this clean in my whole entire life. He said, I tell you what, I'm going to knock, you know, $150 off of yours just because it is that you did that, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was expecting it. He didn't do it to say, hey, since I cleaned your lobby, can I get a discount? But you go out and you serve at a different level, not expecting anything, and stuff comes back around. I've seen that pattern happen over and over again in my life. And I remember that story as being one of, and my whole life, it was a matter of my mom as well. They were always such great servants of people that they instilled that in me. And then we have instilled that in our kids, and now our kids go out and serve as well. So I think that's a lot of where that part comes from.
Okay, this leads into another question I have, and that is, of all the experiences and things that you learned from your dad, which do you say this is definitely something I'm going to teach to my kids?
Of all, wow, that's a lot because I pass a lot on to them. But that ability to be able to help people no matter what. Like, you know what I mean? That if somebody is in need and you have the ability to be able to help them, then it's your duty to be able to help them. Because why would you leave somebody in need and you have the ability to help them? And that's the gift that God gave to you to be able to pass on, right? So that is probably the biggest thing. If there's somebody who needed something, whether it is that we were driving, somebody's on the side of the road or whatever else, my dad would be the first person to be able to help them within reason, because he's from New York. So he's like, you got to be smart, right? He's like, if they look suspicious, you go and find help and then come back and make that. But you know what I mean? And that was the other thing that he instilled in me. Both my parents being from New York, they instilled a sense of being able to determine whether people are legit needing something or not needing something, because they know of all the hustlers and everything else like that. And they live in an environment where you have to be on edge. So even now, when I go into a place, I survey the room. When I'm in a restaurant, I don't sit with my back to the door. Some of those things that they instilled in me from living in New York. Here in Texas, you know, it seems silly, but you know, now the world is changing. It's more and more it's more and more relevant. So those are some, and then the ability to be able to hustle and grind. Like, he was a DJ, I was a DJ in college for extra money. Now Alex the DJ, you know what I mean? And it's just that ability to. There's no reason to be without. You can always find a way to be able to go out and make it happen. That was one of the things I remember him telling me. He's like, "There's never should be a reason why you should say that you're broke or that you don't have any money, because there's so many different ways out there to be able to make money and to make income that you just need to go make it happen. You sit down, you figure it out, and you make it happen, right? Yeah. So what's next is one of the concepts that he taught me. It's like, okay, so you're in a bad situation, you're in a panic situation, everybody's panicking. So what can we do now? What can we do with this? What can we do next in this situation? I saw him do that in different places. As a matter of fact, whenever he was in the hotel across from the Twin Towers whenever the planes hit, and so.
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
Yeah. So he's in the Millennium Hilton across, and he hears the first planes hit, right?
Yeah.
And then he takes his camera out because he thought it was a bomb, and he has pictures of the second plane hitting the towers from his window. At that point, he realized. At that point, he realized I might want to leave because I don't know if it's like they're hitting all the buildings or whatever else.
Everybody hit the stairs.
But even in that, what do I need to do next? Talk about the old lady that's going down the stairs.
Oh, yeah. There were people who were all walking down from the 45th floor, and there was a old lady that she was having a stroke, I guess, heart attack, and she said, "You go ahead," and I said no, and I went and got down to one of the guards or whatever that was in the building, and I said, I gave the lady a bottle. I always carry a bag. That's another thing. I always carry a bag. You see me carrying a bag, and I gave her some shilling oil to put by her nose. It's like a
it helps give you like a boost of energy, almost like peppermint oil or whatever else that somebody would use. Yeah.
And she came through, and the guy got somebody to help her down.
So I remember him saying that his mission became not getting out then, but helping her to get out, which helped him because coming from the 45th floor, you were struggling too, right? But now you get a second boost of energy because I got to get this lady to safety, right? So it's the what's next. All right, so now we have this lady. I'm gonna go get help. I'm gonna come back her, and now my mission is getting her out to be able to drive. Yeah. So you asked what those are some of the traits.
I don't know if she's still alive, but if not, she would have stayed there, and the building would have collapsed.
Yeah.
Because by the time when I got to the ground floor, all you could hear was bodies falling from the top of the building, and
everybody's running to it to see what's going on, and he's like. He's going the opposite direction. He's like, I got to get out of here. Yeah, and he caught one of the last trains out of New York before they shut down the train system and before the buildings.
The last train that passed under the Twin Towers, I got that train.
Wow. And talking about God's intervention, he was supposed to eat breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
In the Twin Towers, down in the restaurant below the Twin Towers that morning.
I was going to take pictures of the Twin Towers. Matter of fact, I took some pictures of the Twin Towers just before, like about 7 o'clock in the morning. And then I walked down. I was going to take pictures from the Twin Towers over to my building. And I said, yeah, I'll do it when I come back. Went down to the restaurant next to the Twin Towers and the hotel that I stayed. I got my food, and I was coming back up. And I saw some guinea, they're fruits that you don't see in America. And I said, oh man, I'll go up and come down, put my food down and come back. And when I got upstairs, I put the food down, I hear boom, that explosion. And I look up to the east side of Manhattan, and see nothing. And I looked up to the Twin Towers, I saw smoke, and I said, man, something must be a fire or something. And then the smoke got worse, and I started taking pictures. And one of the things that I took all the film, that those days I had film. I took the film and put it on the window, and I started taking some more pictures. And then when I took the last picture of the Twin Towers, the building that got hit second was just exploding, and it exploded into the frame of the pictures. And I said, well, I guess I gotta go.
This is when it's time to leave.
So I left the roll of pictures, film on the window, and I also left my
25-year
my watch, my 25-year watch.
expensive watch.
Expensive watch, and
now what's so funny is that whenever they returned his stuff,
so they called me about a month or so later. They said, "Well, Mr. Hunt, the room, the hotel, your stuff is gone. Everything in the hotel is gone,
looted, yeah.
blew up,
Looted.
So I filed an insurance, for my clothes and stuff. About a year later, I said to my wife, I said, I have to go back to foreclosure, And I went back and I went to the hotel, the desk, and I said to the concierge, I was in the building when it exploded. The guys look at me and said, sure. And I said, yeah. I said, here's my room key. And he said, you're right. He said, you were on the 45th floor? And he said, well, everything from the 20th floor up, we put them in a room, and they're on the 12th floor or something. They are all okay. And you look and you say, yeah, there go, your suitcase is still, and everything that was in the room was still there. And he said, tell the lady to take me up to the 12th floor. And sure, I said, the only thing I'm interested in is the roll of film. And she said, well, if you open my bag, there was a roll of film that was on the window.
So he got the pictures, the original pictures that he took.
And I got the pictures, and I came back, and
so he has it. And he's actually was featured in a magazine and everything else with all of his pictures from his photos from the World Trade Center. But again, it's just a matter of, like I said, and the whole Twin Tower story is because if following the spirit and what was led and him going back up I don't think was by accident, right? For him to be able to still be here to this day. So it's just, again, being able to be open to what's next and what's going to happen and to be able to help people. That, just to answer your question, TW, would be kind of the thing that one of the many things, but one of the things that can come to mind as far as passing it forward. But I think it's been a great episode. I mean, like I said, I heard some stuff that I didn't even know. I had just heard that basement story like a couple of months ago for the first time. I didn't even know that exists. The other day they were telling somebody else, and I was like, huh. I didn't know that's how it went down, right? Yeah. but doesn't the ultimatum thing does not surprise me at all, as you can see, as a pattern. But again, sometimes you got to press forward and you got to push for what it is that you like and what it is that you want. Any final questions that you have, TW?
No, I mean, I've learned so much, and I'd like to have had him as my uncle while I was growing up, watching all that stuff happen, because I share to a degree some of that stuff, but I'd like to have seen it reinforced and reinforced and reinforced.
Yeah, but that tenacity and that ability to be able to push through is one of the key things that to this day that keeps them going and keeps them going. Thank you, Dad, for being on the podcast. I appreciate it as well.
Well, it's my first time being on a podcast.
He's like, how does this podcast stuff work? But I grew up in the truck with him, listening to AM radio, those talk shows, those talk radios, the sports talk radios. I was like, it's just like that, except for now people can listen to it anytime. They don't have to subscribe at a certain time. So it's just like that. And I just wanted him to be able to share his story and document his story of how it is that he kind of moved through life. And I think we accomplished that. So good stuff.
That's very good. I think that you should also consider as another guest to interview your mom.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we have to get her so we can hear her perspective and her side of the story as well, which I'm sure it differs in a lot of different places, right? So with that being said, my name is Alastair Hunte. They call me the Techie.
And I'm T.W. Lawrence. They call me the Cowboy.
And what's going to be your nickname, Dad? We always give our guests nicknames, so you're going to be the what? The West Indian?
No.
The Antiguan?
Yeah, well, I'm just Al.
So we got Alford Hunte, just Al.
Just
Just
Al.
Al.
All right, well, let's roll that outro. We'll see you on the next episode. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow us as it is that we just explore men and how it is that the faith is intervened in their life, right? We'll talk to you guys soon.
That's it for this episode. Join us again next time for The Techie and the Cowboy. Hit us up on our website, thetechieandthecowboy.com. Let us know what y'all think.